Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of building a react-pwa application with Workbox. In the previous episodes, we learned about how to set up the React application from scratch. If you have been following along, you can continue from where we left. The final source code will be available under this repository. However, if you are someone who is not a beginner, who skipped the previous tutorials where we set up the React application from scratch, then you can directly go on to the React workshop. Check out to the branch called React Netflix example, and then just do npm install, and then you can start from here. That'll be the boilerplate for what we've done so far in terms of building up this React application. So this tutorial, starting this episode, we are going to start the PWA setup. Okay, so what we're going to use is basically Workbox. Workbox is recommended by Google. As you can see, it's on the developergoogle.com. And what is Workbox? As you can see, it says that it's a library that bakes in a set of best practices and removes the boilerplate every developer writes when working with service workers, which means that most of the heavy lifting is done by the Workbox. It has provided you with a set of functions and packages that can help you progressively enhance your web application to take advantage of the PWA features. You don't have to necessarily implement everything. So based on what you want to implement, you can take advantage of that and install those packages. So many of the heavy liftings like pre-caching, runtime caching, there are caching strategies, caching recipes that have been provided to you, then request routing, background syncing. All of these features are available with the Workbox, and it's pretty useful. And to be honest, if you are working with React and Webpack, I will 200% recommend this Workbox. I have faced a lot of challenges when I actually built the PWA without Workbox, but the moment I use Workbox, it actually took care of a lot of issues that I faced earlier on. All right, so without wasting any time, let's start with this Webpack. So without wasting any time, let's start with it. So the first thing we're going to do is basically we're going to use the workbox-webpack-plugin. Actually, there are different ways of setting up the Workbox. One of the best ways I found was with the workbox-webpack-plugin, because I'm already using the Webpack and I've got all of the configuration set up. So the best, in my opinion, this is the best way. But there are other ways as well. So if you just take a look at down, you can see there is a CLI option. There is node module option. So you can see that it says CLI, node module, or Webpack plugin. So there are three different ways. You have CLI, Workbox Wizard, then you have node module using generate SW, Workbox build, and then you also have the Workbox Webpack plugin. So what we're going to do is basically have some of the assets pre-cached, and then we're also going to do some caching at runtime, caching for things like for example, this one. The data for these movies is actually coming from an API, a third-party API, which is fetched at runtime. And at that point, we would need a mechanism to cache that so that it works offline as well. So we'll be doing both. And out of these three options, we're going to start with the Workbox Webpack plugin. So let's go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do is install this one. I'll say npm install workbox-webpack-plugin -d, because I want to use it for the development, because this will be used at build time, not runtime. And then if you take a look at this, there are lots of information available regarding using the Webpack plugin. There are also some of the features that it offers. It talks about which plugin to use, generate SW or not use this one. So when you are using this Webpack plugin, there are a couple of ways of doing it. Either use the generate SW, which is what they are talking about here. This generate SW means, by the way, it's service worker. Okay, so I'm not going to explain too much about what service workers are. If you really want to know more detail about what progressive web apps are and what are service workers, I highly recommend to watch my talk. So this is my talk called PWA WordPress. This basically gives you all the basic information of progressive web apps, service workers, and all of that. So service worker is basically a script that your web application runs in the background separate from the web page. The job of which is basically to intercept the request. It'll say, hey, just before you hit the network, let me follow some of the strategy in terms of caching, for example. So let's say if it's hit the first time, it's going to hit the network, get the data, put that in the cache. And the next time when the same request is hit, then is going to get that information from the cache. So depending on what strategies you're following. So that's the basic job of the service worker. But like I said, if you want to know in detail, you can watch that talk. Okay, continuing further, it's saying use generate SW, which will create service worker file for you and add it to the Webpack asset pipeline. If you want to pre-cache files and you have a simple runtime configuration, then go ahead and use generate SW. But if not, then and when not to use generate SW, if you want to use service worker features like web push notification, or if you have want to import additional scripts, add additional logic, that's when not to use generate SW. In this tutorial, we're going to use the InjectManifest, and this is going to generate a list of URLs to pre-cache and add that to pre-cache manifest to the existing service worker file. And I'm going to give you a demo of that, how that works. When is it beneficial? You want more control over your service worker, which is what we want. You want a pre-cache file. Yes, we want that. And you have more complex need in terms of routing. Yes, we will. We will have runtime. We will have pre-caching. We have so many things. We will discuss that. And then you'd also like to use your service worker with other APIs like web push. We won't be covering that push notifications in this series, maybe later once I'm done with everything in future, but not in the upcoming videos soon. When not use, when you want the easiest path. No, we don't want to go the easiest way around. We'll go with the complex one. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to use this for sure. So we're going to start with the InjectManifest. All right. Okay, so now that you know what WordBox is, what service workers are, in the next video we're going to start setting up this workbox-webpack-plugin and see how that goes. So I hope you did like the video. If you did, please give a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. And do follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Codeytek. And do follow me on GitHub. My GitHub handle is imranhsayed, and do style my repository to support my work. All right then. So I hope you did like the video. I'm going to see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.